In the past few days, we have seen a humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip. It is affecting the Palestinian people, notably women and children, and the situation is very difficult. In the West Bank, attacks by extremists continue and must stop. Like all states, Israel has a right to defend itself against terrorist attacks. However, it must do so in respect of international law. Even in times of crisis, principles must be respected. In times of war, there are rules to be respected. We must be guided by our values of human dignity. Civilians, both Israeli and Palestinian, must be protected and treated equally. So far, Canada has seen 7 deaths and others who have been taken hostage. There are other Canadians who are trapped in the Gaza Strip. They're living in despair. As a government, we have a duty to protect them and to get them out of this untenable situation. This is why we need a humanitarian pause in Gaza. In addition to having gone to the region twice in the last few weeks, I have been in touch with Qatar, Israel, Egypt, and the United States almost every day since the attack. Pressure has been put on all parties, especially since Monday. Since then, several nationals have been able to leave the country so far. I've been in contact with my counterparts to coordinate the exit of Canadians. Now, all hostages must be released. Food, fuel, and water must flow into the Gaza Strip. We will always support a two-state solution where the Israeli and Palestinian people can live together side by side in peace and security, where the rights of self-determination of Palestinians is respected.
L'ancienne secrétaire d'État américaine, Madeleine Albright,
former Secretary of State of the U.S., said that, contrary to what many people think, international relations is not a game of chess, where two people are sitting down calmly, thinking about their strategy and taking their time between moves. Rather, it's like a game of pool with a bunch of balls grouped together and hitting off one another with unexpected consequences. In my experience in the last 2 years, I fully agree. I would agree and say that even though it has never been perfect, the game was served by a set of rules. These are common rules that have been followed since the Second World War, and they form the basis of international cooperation. It's a system based on clear rules that have been put in place to assure the protection and security of our citizens. Therefore, stability can come hand in hand with prosperity. Today, that system is cracking, and issues are becoming more and more significant. Our world is marked by geopolitical turbulence, unpredictability, and uncertainty. The tectonic plates of the world order are moving under our very feet. The structures on which they are based are breaking apart. War has been declared in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Each of those brings a new cycle of deaths and violence. Currently, we find ourselves in the midst of an international security crisis. We are also facing increasingly more complex modern challenges such as climate change, artificial intelligence, political polarization, irregular immigration, and the widening gap in inequalities. Every day, our international institutions are being tested.
Our world is marked by geopolitical turbulence, unpredictability, and uncertainty. The tectonic plates of the world order are shifting beneath our feet, and the structures that are built upon them are fracturing. we find ourselves amidst an international security crisis. La stabilité qui nous a offert une certaine protection est aujourd'hui mise à l'épreuve par des États et des organisations
is
qui
being
cherchent à
tested by
changer les
states and
règles du jeu.
organizations that are looking to
Qui
change the
croient que
rules
les
of the
règles
game.
peuvent être transgressées sans
They think that
conséquence.
rules can be broken without
Au même
consequence.
moment, l'ordre mondial actuel
At the
est
same
aussi
time,
remis en question par des pays
The world order is being
principalement du
challenged
Sud,
by
qui ne
countries,
croient plus que les
primarily
règles
from the South,
actuelles
who no
reflètent
longer
leur
believe
réalité
in the current
ou encore
rules and that they
qu'elles
reflect
profitent à
their
leur
reality
population.
or that they benefit
Certains
their
pays se demandent
people.
même s'il n'y
Some
a pas un double
countries
standard.
are even wondering whether it's a
Ils se
double
demandent
standard.
si les institutions internationales actuelles
They
répondent
wonder if
vraiment à
current
leurs besoins
international
pressants
institutions are really
ou si
responding
leurs
to their
décisions
pressing
sont
needs
justes.
and if their decisions are fair.
Nous constatons également une audace croissante de la
We're
part de
also
certains
seeing
acteurs qui pensent
increasing
pouvoir faire
daring by
pencher
certain
la balance
actors
du pouvoir
who think that
par
they can
l'unique
weigh
poids de
the
leur
balance of
influence.
power with the
Ces
weight of
pays
their
cherchent à
influence.
remodeler par
Those
la force
countries are
les
seeking
règles
to
mêmes qui vont
forcibly
assurer notre sécurité.
change the rules
Les
themselves.
outils qu'ils exploitent ne se
The
limitent pas aux
tools
champs de
that they
bataille.
use are not
De
limited
nombreux
to the
États
battlefield.
utilisent aujourd'hui des tactiques
Today, many
sophistiquées,
states are using
modernes, pour
sophisticated modern
modifier
tactics
l'ordre mondial en
to
leur
change
faveur.
the world order
Et
to
ils le
their
font à un
favor,
moment où les défis mondiaux
They're
ont des
doing so at a
conséquences
time
très réelles
where
ici,
world actions
chez
have a
nous.
very real consequence
La crise au
here at
Moyen-Orient
home.
génère de la peur et de l'anxiété
The crisis in the Middle
dans nos
East
communautés.
creates concern and anxiety in our
L'invasion de
communities
l'Ukraine
everywhere.
par la Russie a coûté
The
la vie
war
à
in
des
Ukraine
milliers de personnes et fait
that
grimper
has
le
cost
prix
the
de l'essence
lives
et de
of
l'épicerie.
thousands of people
Les changements climatiques ont
and
eu des
affecting
effets très réels cet été,
our
on l'a vu,
groceries here at
au
home.
Québec avec les feux de forêt.
We've seen it in Quebec as well
L'inflation
with
mondiale
forest fires.
croissante a un impact
Growing inflation around the
important
world is
sur
having
le
a significant
portefeuille des gens
impact on people's
Un
wallets here
défi
at home.
complexe et générationnel nous attend.
There are
C'est un
complex
défi
and
qui va
generational
façonner le
challenges
monde
that await
que nous
us.
léguerons à nos enfants et à nos
They will
petits-enfants.
shape the world that we will leave to
Et
our
nous
children and
jugerons sur la base
grandchildren.
des décisions
We
que
will be
nous
based
prendrons.
on the decisions that we
Sur
make.
notre capacité à
We will be
prévenir
judged
un
on our
conflit
capacity to
mondial
prevent
et à
and
construire un
predict
monde
a
stable
world
et inclusif.
conflict and build
Un
a
monde où
stable,
on
inclusive
respecte la
world.
souveraineté et
A world where
l'indépendance de tous les
sovereignty
États,
and the
tout en
independence of all
reconnaissant
states
leur
is respected
interdépendance.
while
Et où le
recognizing
progrès
their
profite à l'ensemble
interdependence,
de la société,
and where
pas seulement un
this
petit nombre de
benefits
privilégiés.
all of society and not a small number of
Chers
privileged persons.
C'est un test
Dear
que nous
friends,
ne pouvons pas échouer.
this is a test that we cannot fail.
Ahead of us lies a complex generational challenge, one that will shape the world we leave to our children and grandchildren. They will judge us based on the steps we take next, on how we were able to prevent global conflict to build a world that is more stable and more inclusive. And friends, this is a test we cannot fail. En cette période de crise mondiale et
During this period
d'incertitude
of world
profonde,
crisis and deep
le Canada peut
uncertainty,
contribuer de manière significative
Canada
à
can
relever ce défi.
contribute significantly
Pour
to
ce
addressing
faire,
these challenges.
Notre politique étrangère sera
Our
guidée
foreign
par deux
policy will be
principes.
guided by two principles.
Le premier, nous défendrons la
The first
souveraineté
is that we will
canadienne.
defend Canada's
Et
sovereignty.
le deuxième,
And the second,
nous allons recourir à une diplomatie pragmatique.
we will use
Une diplomatie
pragmatic
pragmatique qui
diplomacy.
implique de
This
créer des
is
liens avec des
diplomacy
pays
that
ayant
aims
des
to
points de vue
create ties
différents des
among
nôtres,
countries that
dans le
have
but ultime
viewpoints that
de
are different from
prévenir un
ours.
conflit
The ultimate goal
international.
is to prevent international conflict.
Alors parlons du premier principe.
Let's talk about the first
La
principle.
souveraineté du Canada doit pouvoir résister aux
Canada's
menaces de
sovereignty
toute
must be
nature,
able to
quelles que soient
withstand
leurs origines.
threats of any nature.
Notre position géographique dans le
Our
monde,
geographic
nous qui
position
sommes
in the
entourés
world,
de 3 océans,
Being
ne peut plus à
surrounded
elle
by
seule
3
nous protéger.
oceans can no longer protect
Les
us
menaces sans
alone.
cesse changeantes auxquelles nous sommes confrontés
The
ne sont
threats
plus
we are
seulement physiques
increasingly
ou
being faced
économiques.
with are not just
Elles sont
physical or
numériques,
economic.
elles sont
They're
informationnelles.
digital and